In this video, I will demonstrate how we can quickly set up connection to the database and start deriving insight from what's happening on the system. So first of all, after logging in into Enteros UpBeat, we would select high-load capture component that enable us to work with multiple database systems. And for the purposes of this demo, I will start what we call quick target setup to connect to a SQL Server database. So I'll just call it quick SQL Server 001, selecting database type SQL Server. We'll set up the host, the port, as well as user. I'll use system administrator, but it can be any user as long as we have view server state privileges. And database, we have HLC, but it can be any database that you can use. And let's go ahead and save this. As soon as we save it, we see it here. After we create a target, the next step would be to deploy data collector. So what we're doing right now, we're picking up the configuration file that comes and we're deploying it so we can start collecting data. So after that, the next step would be start data collector. And after data collector started, we need to give it a few seconds. The architecture-wise, the collector runs independently, and then we have a collector jobs that can kick off, and pull the data. So we can go ahead and see if we getting some data right now. And yes, we start getting some information. In this case, we see SQL statistics, we see spin logs, netstat, as well as SQL information. So for example, we'd like to go and look at SQL statistics. We'll just go ahead, and right now we're taking 1 day. Probably too much because we just started, so maybe we'll just set it to 10 minutes. We don't need more than that, and we'll go ahead and again process the data to set this time frame. And right now we can go ahead and say that in the measurements we would like to see like total worker time. It's CPU consumption that have been accumulated. So what we're doing right now, we're pulling data about the statements that being captured during those times. And apparently there is not too much. We can have statistics. We can put some filtering like a pattern search, DML search. We can look by specific ID if we have similar IDs across multiple systems, filter by number of executions. Like in this case, let's just pick up one of those statements, and we see immediately the plan, including the cost information. And after that, again, we can look at the plan, and we can do analysis where we're using generative AI that would analyze this plan and would provide us with some information that we can potentially use. So let's give it a few seconds. Okay, so we look, and it's saying there is certain precompiled recommendations, the filtering, indexing. So all those things are coming in. They're pretty handy. And if you'd like, you can actually modify the statement. For example, if I would go back, and I would say and 1 equals 0, and we'll go ahead and again do like explain in memory. Immediately changing a plan. Apparently it didn't like this. And again, if we're looking at some insight, probably would be some critical analysis of what it says. Yep. Constant scan and do simplistic filling the query. So kind of give us a brief explanation. If we would like to actually chart those statements, what we do, let's go ahead and let's pick it up. And let's select what we're calling add similar chart elements for specifically selected CPU consumption. So we're adding this. And then when we're going to the view, here we actually looking at CPU consumptions, pretty cyclical, interesting spikes. We can actually do our own spike analysis to see if it was able to find some spikes, and they need to be statistically significant. So it may take some time for us to scan. And yes, it found out actually because of so many other statements. I guess it did detection across pretty wide spectrum of the statements. And at the same time, for example, let's say we would like to add a wait event activity. Let's just pick up one of those wait time. And again, we would be adding this to the screen as a generic metric. So now we would see the analysis across those two dimensions, wait events and SQL level statistics. Yeah, and in this case, probably having spike analysis would be relatively heavy operation, so we probably can just get rid of them for a time being. The spike analysis mostly helpful when we automating things or we're doing some initial immediate analysis. But right now, for example, we have those wait time on SQL versus total worker time. We can change dimension and we'll switch it to capture. And in the capture level, we know it's SQL analysis versus wait statistics. What we can do now, we can save this as a template, and we can say, let's say it would be SQL and weights. So we're saving it as SQL weights, again, saving as a template. So how we can use this template? This template we can use by scheduling reports. In the report, we adding the template that we just added. So we're going to add this template. And in the template, we may say, okay, I really want to understand spikes related to SQL statements. And whenever those spikes are there, generate the report. So we can say how frequently. I'd like to maybe say every hour at minute 10, I want to generate report. Do I want to send it as HTML? Do I want to send it as PDF? Or maybe both? And I can say that whom I'd like to CC and just send email report. In general, it's much better to schedule those reports. But first of all, let's go ahead and save it. We will save this report. And again, I'll probably save it the way we did it before. So we can identify SQL versus weights. We save it as a report. And now we can also see how this report will look visually after we're doing it. Okay, so again, lots of spikes detected, report is working. We can also, going back to the reports, we can do the same request by asking to generate HTML report. But after we created this report and we identified the areas, we can start creating and adding this to our overall dashboard using both heat map and regular dashlight. So let's say we're looking at SQL Server, so we'll go ahead and create a dashboard. So let's say SQL prod, let's say retail 005. So let's say we have multiple databases or multiple systems. So we'll just add it, and we're going ahead and adding right now a dashlet. The dashlet can be multiple types. It can be HLC chart, which is a regular chart dashlet, or can be a heat map. So let's go ahead and create regular dashlet. So we're just saying SQL. Wait, we're basically saying this is HLC chart. In this chart, we're selecting a backend. Backend is an area in our database environment that specifically enables connectivity to the group of systems. So we may have like differentiation of the backend between QA, UAT, production, or different segments of production, like production analytics, production transactional, OLTP, or maybe within a group like feedback versus categories, so kind of level of separation that we want to implement. And here we just selecting the template that we just created, and let's go ahead and save it. So it may take a second for us to refresh the data. I may ask it to refresh. In general, it just takes a second to refresh and to show because it needs to calculate what we just seen, and then it needs to see what's happening overall. Also, we can create the heat map. So for example, I think we have few SQL Server databases here, or maybe we have some other databases, but I'm not sure they're running, but this I'll demonstrate how we can create a heat map. So let's say we're creating a dashlet, we're doing a name like heat map cross platforms. We're selecting a heat map here. We're going to next, again, selecting a backend. We're selecting the report that we just created, and we're selecting the template. So now when we're having a dynamic heat map, we need to define what report do we use for a spike detection, because in the report we have multiple templates that's used for detection. And then it's a static template which enables us to output, in addition to general analysis, something that, in addition to spike detection, we want to add something static, something that we can use every time. And then we need to select targets. And again, I'll just add lots of different targets together. We'll apply, and then we'll save it. So what would happen right now, it will demonstrate exactly which databases are active, which databases are idle, like not running without collectors. Again, the dynamic, we can move the dashlet and things like this. Here, if we get some historical activity, it's actually very easy for us to look at this historical activity. So it gives us a very good perspective. This is pretty, like it's a few days ago, but here it's pretty fresh. So yes, it's detected some spike situations, but it's not really critical. But here we had actually major spikes. And we can go ahead and open this view, kind of making a preview of what's happening there. And I think there was some level of activity on both areas. So from here, we can go ahead and open the analyzer window, and this analyzer window would show us specific area where we identify the issue. And again, it found some interesting issues there, kind of compared. And the nice thing again, what we can do, we kind of saying, okay, that's an area of our interest. We can go there. In this case, I can go and say this is my time frame that interests me, like literally like a 1 minute of the time frame. Again, let's look. The granularity of collection, I believe we're using every 3 seconds or every 5 seconds. So overall, the level of detail is pretty good. We can troubleshoot in pretty nice level. So again, let's wait for it to pull the data and process and analyze the data. Sometimes we may have a situation when it just takes longer time. And again, it did analysis, it detected those issues. So now we can go ahead and look at the SQL analysis within this area. And in this case, again, I would look at the CPU consumption kind of thing. I'd like to understand what was really happening during that time. Again, we see some pretty consuming statements, so this may indicate a problem. And we can go ahead again, open the plan, and in the plan we can provide the explanation, things like this. So overall, this flow enables us to very efficiently deploy the new target. We call targets. We start getting data, do initial analysis, or we can go ahead and add this towards the heat map, or added towards a regular dashboard, and this way now we would be getting automatic notifications of whenever things are happening. So that's a brief demonstration, and if you have any questions, please send email to support@enteros.com. We will be glad to give you a deeper insight into what can be done depending on your platforms. Like I did this for SQL Server, we support multiple platforms like Oracle, Postgres, MySQL, Cassandra, MongoDB, and so on. So we definitely, with Snowflake, would like to share with you and provide you the oversight how this can benefit your environment and new use cases. So again, support@enteros.com. We would be looking to hear back from you. Thank you.